Imagine, just for a moment, that every word you speak is like a stone cast into a still lake. The ripples extend outward, far beyond what the eye can see, touching shores you may never visit. Now, ask yourself, how many of these stones have you thrown today? How many have brought clarity and truth? And how many have sent waves of distortion through the waters of your life? Lies, even the smallest ones, are not mere words that disappear into the air. They linger, shaping the world around us in ways both visible and unseen. You may believe that a white lie told to spare someone's feelings is harmless, but science suggests otherwise. Research from the University of Notre Dame, known as the Science of Honesty study, found that participants who consciously reduced their lying even in small ways reported significantly better mental and physical health. They had fewer headaches, less stress, and even improved relationships. But why? Because truth and falsehood are not just abstract concepts. They have real, measurable effects on the body and mind. Every time you tell a lie, no matter how insignificant it seems, your brain and nervous system react. The amygdala, the part of your brain responsible for processing fear and emotional responses, becomes activated. Your body releases cortisol, the stress hormone that prepares you for fight or flight. Your heart rate increases. Your blood pressure rises. You may not notice these effects in the moment, but over time, habitual lying creates chronic stress that wears down the body, contributing to anxiety, fatigue, and even long-term health conditions like cardiovascular disease. Now, let's take a step beyond the physical and into the world of energy. It is no accident that ancient traditions, from the teachings of Hermes Trismegistus to the philosophy of Taoism, describe truth as the natural order of the universe. In the East, the Taoists call this harmony Wu Wei, the effortless flow of life when we align with reality rather than resist it. Modern physics is only beginning to catch up to what these traditions have long understood. Everything is energy, including words. Studies on biofield science, a growing field of research in physics and medicine, suggest that the human body emits an electromagnetic field that interacts with its surroundings. The heart, for example, generates an electromagnetic field that extends several feet beyond the body, measurable through instruments like the magnetocardiogram. When we speak the truth, our energy field remains coherent, strong, and harmonious. But when we lie, we create dissonant small fractures in our biofield that can lead to a sense of internal imbalance, anxiety, and even illness over time. Consider the power of words in their purest form. Dr. Masaru Emoto, a Japanese researcher, conducted experiments exposing water molecules to words of love and hate. When water was labeled with words like gratitude and peace, it formed stunningly symmetrical, intricate crystals. When exposed to words like anger or fear, the crystals became chaotic and fractured. Now, think about this. Your body is composed of roughly 70% water. If words can affect the molecular structure of water in a petri dish, what are your words doing to you? But the effects of lying do not stop with us. They extend outward into our relationships and the broader world. Just as a discordant note disrupts the harmony of a song, deception introduces fractures in the trust that binds human connection. Have you ever felt that something was off in a conversation, even when you couldn't quite put your finger on why? That's because, on a deeper level, our bodies can sense inconsistency. Research in social neuroscience has shown that human beings possess mirror neurons, brain cells that allow us to unconsciously pick up on the emotions and intentions of others. When someone lies, even subtly, the energy of that deception is registered, creating an invisible rift in the connection. Over time, repeated dishonesty erodes trust, much like water slowly wearing away stone. And yet, despite these consequences, we live in a world where lying is normalized. From small social pleasantries to large-scale manipulations, dishonesty permeates our culture. But just because something is common does not mean it is harmless. Imagine, instead, a life where every word you speak is aligned with truth, where your thoughts, your words, and your actions are in perfect harmony. What would that feel like? Lighter? Freer? More powerful? The good news is that transformation begins with awareness. You do not have to change everything overnight, nor do you need to carry the weight of past falsehoods. Start small. The next time you are tempted to distort the truth, pause. Ask yourself, is this necessary? Is it kind? Is it aligned with my highest integrity? The mere act of pausing before speaking rewires the brain, strengthening the neural pathways associated with mindfulness and conscious decision-making. Truth, when embraced fully, is a force of liberation. It clears away the mental fog, strengthens the body, and restores balance to our relationships, connects us more deeply to ourselves and to the natural rhythm of life. And most importantly, it offers a path to peace, the kind that does not waver in the face of uncertainty, because it is rooted in something unshakable, reality itself. So, I ask you again, how many lies have you told today? And more importantly, how many truths are you ready to reclaim? Words are not just tools for communication. They are the architects of our reality. Every syllable we utter carries weight, shaping our thoughts, molding our perceptions, and ultimately constructing the world around us. From ancient spiritual traditions to modern science, the power of words has been recognized as more than just sound. It is an active force, a vibration that can heal or harm, build or destroy. The question, then, is not whether words have power, but how we choose to wield that power in our daily lives. Throughout history, great thinkers have understood the transformative nature of language. The Gospel of John begins with a profound statement. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. This is not just religious poetry. It is a recognition of the creative potential of speech. In ancient Egypt, priests of the mystery schools believed that words carried an almost magical potency, capable of influencing reality itself. The Greeks, too, understood this principle. Plato argued that the essence of things could be revealed through language, while the Stoics taught that words should be used with precision and integrity, as they shaped not only the speaker's character but also the moral order of society. And yet, for all its history, this understanding of the power of words is not confined to philosophy or spirituality. Modern science, particularly in the realms of physics and neuroscience, is now confirming what the ancients intuited. At the most fundamental level, everything in the universe vibrates. Quantum physics has shown that matter is not as solid as we once believed. It is energy in motion, particles vibrating at different frequencies. Words, spoken aloud, are also vibrations. When you speak, your voice sends out sound waves that physically alter the space around you. These vibrations don't merely disappear. They interact with your environment, influencing both the external world and your internal state. This is not theoretical speculation, it is observable fact. Researchers at the HeartMath Institute have discovered that emotions and thoughts, especially when expressed through words, can directly impact the electromagnetic field of the heart. When a person speaks with sincerity and coherence, their heart's rhythm becomes more stable, producing a state known as heart coherence. This state is linked to lower stress levels, improved immune function, and greater emotional resilience. Conversely, when words are spoken with anger, deceit, or negativity, the heart's rhythm becomes erratic, triggering the release of stress hormones that disrupt the body's natural harmony. The implications of this are profound. If words influence the heart's rhythm, and the heart's electromagnetic field extends beyond the body, then what we say does not just affect us, it affects those around us. Consider how you feel when someone speaks to you with kindness and sincerity. There is an immediate shift, a sense of ease and openness. Now recall a time when someone spoke harshly or deceitfully. Even if you did not consciously register the dishonesty, your body did. Perhaps your stomach tightened, your breath became shallow, or you felt an inexplicable unease. This is because words are not neutral. They carry energy that interacts with the listener's nervous system, altering their physiological state. The work of Dr. Masaru Emoto provides a striking visual representation of this phenomenon. In his experiments, he exposed water molecules to different words, both spoken aloud and written on labels. Water that was exposed to words like love and gratitude formed beautifully intricate crystalline structures, while water exposed to words like hate and anger formed chaotic, fragmented patterns. Given that the human body is composed of roughly 70% water, the implications are staggering. If words can alter the molecular structure of water in a laboratory, what effect do they have on our own bodies when spoken repeatedly over a lifetime? But the power of words extends beyond the individual. It is the foundation of society itself. Words shape collective consciousness, influencing the way communities, nations, and civilizations evolve. Consider the rhetoric of leaders throughout history. The words of Martin Luther King Jr. ignited a movement, inspiring millions to believe in justice and equality. The propaganda of oppressive regimes, on the other hand, has manipulated populations into fear and division. The difference lies not in the volume of the speech, but in the intent behind the words and the resonance they create. Words, when spoken with truth and conviction, have the power to elevate human consciousness. When used carelessly or deceitfully, they can lead to destruction. So what does this mean for you here and now? It means that every word you speak is a choice that determines the quality of your life and the energy you contribute to the world. If words can alter your biology, shift your emotional state, and shape your relationships, then mastering your speech is one of the most powerful actions you can take. Start by observing your language. Pay attention to the words you use when speaking about yourself. Do they empower or diminish you? Do you describe yourself in ways that reinforce confidence and possibility? Or do you use phrases that limit your potential? Words like, "I am too old," or "I can't change now" are not just statements. They are self-fulfilling prophecies, reinforcing neural pathways that make transformation more difficult. Instead, try shifting your language to phrases that open doors. "I am still learning. I am growing every day. I choose to see this moment as an opportunity." Beyond self-talk, consider how you speak to others. When you communicate, do your words build trust and understanding, or do they create division? Studies in social psychology have shown that people who practice mindful speech, speaking with honesty, kindness, and intention experience stronger relationships and greater overall well-being. When engaging with others, pause before speaking and ask yourself, is what I am about to say true? Is it necessary? Is it kind? This simple habit, drawn from ancient wisdom traditions, has the power to transform not just conversations, but entire relationships. And finally, recognize that words are not just spoken. They are written, sung, and thought. Every medium of expression carries vibrational energy. The books you read, the music you listen to, the media you consume, all of these shape your internal landscape. Be intentional about the words you allow into your mind, just as you would be mindful of the food you put into your body. Words, like nourishment, can either strengthen or weaken you. In the end, the power of words is not just a philosophical concept or a scientific observation, it is an invitation. An invitation to speak with greater awareness, to listen with deeper presence, and to use language as a force for creation rather than destruction. Each of us holds this power in every conversation, in every interaction, in every thought. The question is, how will you use it? Picture yourself standing in a vast, open field at dawn. The air is still, the sky painted with the first golden strokes of sunlight. You take a deep breath, feeling the crisp morning air move through your body, filling you with life. Now imagine, for a moment, that every word you speak is carried by that breath, radiating outward like ripples on a pond, unseen but undeniably present. What if these words didn't just fade into the air but left an imprint on you, on others, on the very energy that surrounds us? Science and philosophy both suggest that they do. Every word we speak is an extension of our inner world, shaping not only our psychology, but also our physical health and even the unseen energetic field that envelopes us. The human body is not just flesh and bone. It is an intricate network of energy, constantly interacting with the world. In various spiritual traditions, this energy is often described as an aura, an invisible field of vibrational frequency that reflects our thoughts, emotions, and overall well-being. But this concept is not limited to mysticism. Scientific research in bioelectromagnetics has shown that the human body generates its own electromagnetic field, measurable through instruments like electroencephalograms, EEGs, and magnetocardiograms, MCGs. The heart, for example, produces an electromagnetic field that extends several feet beyond the body, interacting with other energy fields in our environment. This means that our emotions, thoughts, and even the words we speak are not isolated within us, they radiate outward, influencing our surroundings in ways we may not consciously perceive. Now consider what happens when we lie. Lying is not merely a psychological act. It has measurable physiological and energetic consequences. Neuroscientific studies have revealed that when a person lies, the brain's amygdala, a key region involved in processing fear and emotional responses, is activated. This triggers the release of stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, preparing the body for a perceived threat. Over time, habitual lying desensitizes the amygdala, meaning that the more one lies, the less the brain reacts to deception. This might sound like an adaptation, but in reality, it is a slow erosion of integrity, not just moral integrity, but physiological and energetic coherence. Studies in psychophysiology have found that deception increases heart rate variability, elevates blood pressure, and even weakens immune function, making the body more susceptible to illness. In other words, dishonesty is not just a breach of ethics, it is a self-inflicted wound. But the impact of lying goes beyond individual health. It disrupts the flow of energy through the body's natural systems. In Eastern traditions, this is often discussed in terms of chakras, centers of energy aligned along the spine. The fifth chakra, known as Vishuddha, is located at the throat and is associated with truth, communication, and self-expression. When one speaks truthfully, this energy center remains open, allowing for clear and effective communication. But when one lies, Vishuddha becomes blocked, leading to a range of physical and emotional issues. Have you ever felt a lump in your throat when suppressing the truth? Or noticed that chronic dishonesty often coincides with throat-related ailments, persistent coughs, voice strain, or thyroid imbalances? These are not coincidences. They are the body's way of signaling an energetic misalignment. If energy and physiology are so intimately connected to truthfulness, what does this mean for how we live? It means that choosing honesty is not just a moral decision but a path to better health, stronger relationships, and a more harmonious existence. When we speak the truth, we create coherence between our thoughts, our words, and our actions. This coherence strengthens the body's energy field, stabilizes the nervous system, and fosters an inner sense of peace. Dr. David Hawkins, a renowned psychiatrist and consciousness researcher, developed a scale of human consciousness in which he measured the vibrational frequency of different emotional states. Truth and integrity ranked among the highest frequencies, associated with states of enlightenment, healing, and joy, while falsehood and deception resonated at much lower levels, linked to fear, shame, and disease. His work suggests that living in truth not only elevates personal well-being but also contributes to the collective energy of humanity. But how do we apply this in daily life? The first step is awareness. Begin to notice how your body reacts when you speak. Does it feel light and open, or does it tighten with resistance? Observe the words you use. Do they reflect your authentic self, or are they shaped by fear or the desire for approval? The second step is alignment. Make a conscious effort to ensure that what you say aligns with what you truly think and feel. This does not mean speaking without filter or tact, but rather finding ways to express truth with kindness and clarity. The third step is correction. If you catch yourself in a lie, even a small one, acknowledge it and realign. The act of course-correcting strengthens neural pathways associated with integrity, making honesty a more natural state over time. Perhaps the most profound realization is that truthfulness is not just about words. It is about being in harmony with life itself. When you stand in truth, you stand in alignment with the fundamental order of the universe. Nature does not lie. The sun rises, the seasons change, the river flows. There is an effortless honesty in existence that we, too, can embody. And when we do, we become not just speakers of truth, but vessels of clarity, health, and vibrant energy. So ask yourself, what truth is waiting to be spoken? What words, when set free, will restore the balance within you and radiate outward into the world? The answer is already within you, waiting to be voiced. Imagine walking into a grand symphony hall, where a magnificent orchestra is playing. Each musician is tuned to the same key, each instrument harmonizing with the others to create a breathtaking soundscape. Now, imagine if a single violinist were to play out of tune, just slightly off, barely noticeable at first. Soon, another follows, then another. What began as a masterpiece of coherence gradually devolves into discord, and the once powerful melody is replaced by a jarring noise that unsettles the entire room. This is the effect of dishonesty within the fabric of human connection. Just as a single note out of tune disrupts an entire orchestra, deception, whether small or grand, creates fractures in the collective harmony of society. What we speak, what we believe, and how we interact does not end with us. It ripples outward, shaping families, communities, and even entire civilizations. At the heart of every relationship, whether between two people, within a community, or across a nation, lies an invisible yet powerful force: trust. Neuroscientists have identified oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone, as the biochemical foundation of trust in human interactions. Studies at the University of Zurich have demonstrated that when individuals experience trust, oxytocin levels rise, fostering a sense of connection and reducing fear. This hormone is essential in forming deep emotional bonds, whether between a parent and child, friends, or life partners. However, deception erodes this delicate chemical balance. When lies are introduced, the brain's amygdala detects a threat, triggering the release of stress hormones like cortisol. Instead of reinforcing trust, the body enters a state of guardedness, creating distance rather than connection. Over time, repeated deception reshapes the brain's response to relationships, making it harder to trust, to love openly, and to feel at ease in the presence of others. But the consequences of dishonesty do not stop at individual relationships. They extend into the broader social structure. Just as a single drop of ink can stain an entire glass of water, systemic dishonesty, even at a small scale, disrupts the integrity of entire communities. Sociologists studying trust in societies have found that cultures with higher levels of transparency and truthfulness experience greater social cohesion, economic stability, and even longer life expectancy. A study published in the Journal of Economic Perspectives examined trust levels across different countries and found a direct correlation between societal trust and overall well-being. Nations where citizens trusted their governments, businesses, and media had lower crime rates, better public health, and stronger economic performance. Conversely, societies riddled with deception and corruption exhibited higher levels of anxiety, economic instability, and collective stress. This is because dishonesty is not just an individual act. It is a disease that spreads, creating an environment where suspicion replaces cooperation, and fear takes the place of security. Yet, despite this, we live in a world where deception is often rationalized as a necessary survival tool. We are told that a little white lie can keep the peace, that everyone does it, or that the truth is too painful. But when we normalize dishonesty, we normalize disconnection. Consider the impact of misinformation in the modern world: false narratives spread through social media, half-truths manipulated by political agendas, and corporate deceptions designed to exploit rather than serve. Each instance of dishonesty adds another discordant note to the collective symphony, distorting reality and making it increasingly difficult to discern what is true. Psychological research has shown that repeated exposure to falsehoods, even when recognized as untrue, can alter perception. This phenomenon, known as the illusory truth effect, demonstrates that the more we hear something regardless of its accuracy, the more likely we are to believe it. This is why propaganda has been a powerful tool throughout history, used to manipulate entire populations. The more deception takes root in a society, the more fragmented that society becomes, as people lose a shared sense of truth. But if deception weakens the collective, then honesty has the power to heal it. Truthfulness is not merely a moral virtue. It is a stabilizing force that restores trust, strengthens bonds, and reestablishes harmony within human relationships. Social experiments have found that individuals who consistently practice honesty experience deeper and more fulfilling connections. The Harvard study of adult development, one of the longest-running studies on happiness, has found that the single greatest predictor of long-term well-being is not wealth, status, or fame. It is the quality of one's relationships. And at the core of every meaningful relationship is one simple element: truth. The study's findings show that people who maintain open, honest communication with those around them live longer, experience less stress, and report greater satisfaction in life. When honesty becomes the foundation of relationships, it fosters security, allowing individuals to navigate life's uncertainties with the assurance that they are not alone. If truth has the power to restore harmony, then how can we cultivate it in our daily lives? The first step is intention, choosing to value honesty not just as a virtue, but as a principle for living. This means questioning whether our words align with reality, whether our actions reflect integrity, and whether we are willing to engage in difficult conversations rather than retreat into comforting falsehoods. The second step is presence, being fully engaged in our interactions rather than speaking out of habit or social expectation. Too often, we speak without consideration, allowing words to fill the silence rather than serve a purpose. But true honesty requires attentiveness, an awareness of how our words shape not only our own reality but the realities of those around us. The third step is courage, the willingness to embrace truth even when it is uncomfortable. This does not mean being harsh or unkind. Rather, it means speaking with clarity, choosing words that illuminate rather than obscure, and standing firm in what is real, even when deception seems easier. On a broader level, fostering a culture of truthfulness requires collective effort. It means holding institutions accountable, demanding transparency from those in power, and resisting the normalization of dishonesty in media and politics. It means choosing to support businesses that operate with integrity, consuming information with discernment, and refusing to spread unverified claims. Every individual act of truthfulness strengthens the collective field, just as every note played in tune restores harmony to the orchestra. If a single lie can fracture trust, then a single truth can begin to repair it. And so, the question remains, what role will you play in this grand symphony? Will your voice contribute to the distortion, or will it be a note of clarity in the midst of noise? The power to restore harmony begins with the simplest of choices: to speak with integrity, to live with honesty, and to be a beacon of truth in a world that is in desperate need of it. In the end, truth is not just an ideal. It is the foundation of human connection, the melody that unites us, and the force that has the power to heal both the individual and the collective. Let it begin with you. Imagine waking up one morning with a profound sense of clarity. The air feels lighter, your mind is free of clutter, and there is an ease in your body as if a great weight has been lifted. This is the feeling of alignment, the sensation of living in truth. It is not something abstract or mystical. It is a state of being that is deeply rooted in both science and philosophy. Truth is not merely a moral ideal. It is a force of nature, a frequency that brings coherence to the mind, harmony to the body, and connection to the soul. When we live in truth, we step into a rhythm that is as natural as the tides, as steady as the turning of the earth. And yet, in a world where deception has become second nature, how do we return to this fundamental state of alignment? The answer begins within. Lying, as we have seen, fractures our energetic integrity, creating dissonance between what we know, what we say, and what we do. Neuroscientific studies have shown that habitual lying rewires the brain, numbing the amygdala, the part of our brain responsible for emotional processing, until deception feels effortless. But truth has the opposite effect. A study conducted at the University of California found that when people practice radical honesty, expressing their thoughts openly without distortion, their stress levels decrease, their immune function improves, and their overall mental clarity increases. This is because truthfulness restores harmony to the nervous system, reducing the cognitive load required to maintain lies. When we lie, we must remember the falsehood, keep track of inconsistencies, and anticipate potential exposure, all of which consume mental energy. Truth, on the other hand, requires no maintenance. It is effortless, freeing the mind to focus on creativity, connection, and presence. Beyond its neurological effects, truthfulness has a profound impact on our physical health. The body, like the mind, thrives in states of coherence. The HeartMath Institute has demonstrated that when a person speaks with sincerity, their heart rate variability, HRV, stabilizes, promoting cardiovascular health and reducing inflammation. When we live in truth, our body's electromagnetic field becomes more stable, influencing not just our own health but also the energy of those around us. This is why being in the presence of an honest, authentic person feels grounding and calming. We instinctively recognize coherence when we encounter it. On the other hand, deception, whether in the form of self-denial or external falsehood, creates subtle stress responses in the body, leading to symptoms such as chronic fatigue, tension, and even autoimmune disorders. The truth, quite literally, has healing properties. But truth is not only about the absence of lies. It is about the presence of authenticity. Many people live lives that, while not filled with outright deception, are still misaligned with their deepest values and desires. They say yes when they mean no. They suppress their emotions for fear of judgment. They follow paths dictated by social expectations rather than their own inner compass. This misalignment, over time, manifests as a feeling of restlessness, dissatisfaction, or even physical illness. The philosopher Soren Kierkegaard once wrote that the greatest despair is not to suffer but to live in a way that is not true to oneself. Modern psychology confirms this idea. Research in existential psychology shows that individuals who live in alignment with their core values experience greater life satisfaction, stronger resilience to stress, and even a longer lifespan. So how do we reclaim truth in our lives? The first step is self-inquiry. Take a moment to ask yourself, where in my life am I not being completely honest? This could be in your relationships, your work, or even in the way you speak to yourself. Journaling, meditation, or simply taking time for silent reflection can help bring hidden truths to the surface. The second step is expression. Once you have identified areas of misalignment, begin to speak and act in ways that reflect your inner truth. This does not mean bluntness or tactlessness. Rather, it means communicating with clarity and integrity. If you have been suppressing your emotions, practice expressing them in small ways. If you have been living in a way that feels inauthentic, take steps, however small, to realign with what feels true to you. Even minor adjustments in speech and behavior can create profound shifts in your overall sense of well-being. The final step is integration. Truth is not a single act. It is a lifelong practice. Just as muscles strengthen with repeated use, the more we choose honesty, the easier and more natural it becomes. Surround yourself with people who encourage authenticity. Consume information with discernment, seeking out sources that value integrity over sensationalism. And most importantly, cultivate a deep trust in yourself. The more you listen to your own inner voice, the clearer it becomes. The ancient Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu wrote, "He who knows others is wise. He who knows himself is enlightened." Truth begins not with the external world, but within. The more we align with our inner truth, the more we naturally extend it outward, creating ripples of honesty that transform our relationships, our communities, and ultimately the world itself. The journey back to truth is not always easy. It requires courage, vulnerability, and a willingness to confront discomfort. But the rewards, clarity, peace, and deep connection are beyond measure. When we strip away deception, we do not lose anything of real value. Rather, we reclaim what has always been ours, the freedom to be fully, unapologetically ourselves. So ask yourself, what truth is waiting to be spoken? What part of your life is calling for alignment? The path to truth is not found in grand gestures, but in the small, daily choices to live with integrity. And with each step toward truth, you step closer to the life you were meant to live.